Here is the complete script, followed by the JSON block. Keep in mind, the figures presented here are approximations meant to give you a sense of the cost of living. Always verify with up-to-date sources before making any decisions. Most people searching for the best islands and coastal destinations to retire or relocate to are handed the same shortlist every time. Hawaii, the Canary Islands, Malta, maybe Bermuda. And sure, those places have real appeal. But they also carry price tags that would make most Western retirees wince. What gets far less attention are the places that offer a genuinely comparable quality of life, sometimes even a noticeably better one, at a fraction of the cost. In 2026, the picture is more interesting than it has ever been. Visa pathways have opened up, expat communities have matured in cities most people can barely find on a map, and cost advantages that once seemed too good to be true have held up for years. Some of these destinations have coastal access, year-round warmth, and UNESCO-listed old towns. Others are landlocked but sit at altitude with climate so mild you will never need air conditioning. And as you will see, our top pick offers something the others simply cannot match. This list covers 12 destinations across Europe, the Americas, Southeast Asia, the Caribbean, North Africa, and the United States, ranked by overall value, lifestyle quality, and practical accessibility for those planning a move or a retirement in 2026. Without further ado, let's get into the list. Number 12, Cluj-Napoca, Romania. Cluj-Napoca sits in the northwest of Romania, tucked into the Transylvania region at the edge of the Carpathian foothills. It is a university city of around 400,000 people, genuinely young in energy, with a medieval old town that surprises most first-time visitors. The climate is continental, warm summers, cold winters, for proper seasons. Romania is an EU member state, which gives residents access to European legal frameworks and the freedom of movement that comes with that bloc. Cluj has become one of Eastern Europe's largest tech hubs, which means English is widely spoken, infrastructure is modern, and the city has a cosmopolitan feel that punches well above its price point. On top of this, Romania operates a flat 10% income tax rate, which is among the most favorable in Europe for those earning foreign income. All-in monthly costs run roughly $800 to $1,300, with a one-bedroom apartment in the center coming in at around $450 to $750 per month. Entry-level property starts at $80,000, topping out around $160,000 for something in a well-located neighborhood. For those with qualifying foreign income, Romania offers a digital nomad visa requiring around €3,950 per month, while retirees can explore a long-stay visa route. On the downside, Romanian bureaucracy is notoriously heavy. Processing times for visas and residency paperwork can test anyone's patience. And those winters in Cluj are genuinely harsh. It is not the Mediterranean. Number 11, Marrakech and Essaouira, Morocco. Morocco sits just across the Strait of Gibraltar from Spain, and its two most livable expat cities offer quite different experiences. Marrakech is inland, vivid, and intense. Essaouira is a breezy Atlantic coastal town with whitewashed walls and a pace of life that is almost meditative. Both are around 3 hours by air from most European capitals. The lifestyle appeal here is considerable. Mild winters on the coast, rich Moroccan cuisine, a deep cultural texture that Western retirees consistently describe as genuinely life-expanding, and costs that stay low once you move outside the Medina tourist zones. Monthly all-in costs sit between $800 and $1,300, with a one-bedroom in the center renting for $400 to $750. Entry-level property ranges from $80,000 to $200,000. For residency, Morocco offers the carte de séjour, an initial one-year permit that becomes renewable for 10 years, requiring proof of income and a clean record. However, French or Arabic is essentially required outside tourist-facing areas. Those who arrive expecting English to carry them everywhere will find it does not. And Marrakech in summer hits 45 degrees Celsius inland, which is not comfortable living by any measure. Number 10, Bali, Indonesia. Bali needs little introduction in concept, but the reality of living there is more layered than the Instagram version suggests. Ubud offers a spiritual, rice terrace interior. Tsungu and Seminyak draw a younger, digital nomad crowd. Sanaa is quieter, more residential, and genuinely popular with longer-term expats and retirees seeking something calmer. The climate is tropical year-round, and the island's wellness culture, cheap domestic flights to the rest of the Indonesian archipelago, and mature expat ecosystem are all genuine draws. Monthly costs range from roughly $900 to $1,700 all in. A one-bedroom in the center rents for $500 to $1,200 depending on area and quality. Entry-level property is priced between $80,000 and $250,000. Residency options include the second home visa, a 10-year permit requiring an IDR 2 billion deposit, equivalent to around $130,000. For those aged 55 and over, the retirement Kitas requires a demonstrable pension of $1,500 per month. On the downside, foreigners cannot hold freehold land in Indonesia. Any property purchase is leasehold only, typically 25 to 30 years. Traffic in South Bali is genuinely severe. And periodic volcanic activity from Mount Agung can disrupt flights and daily life. Number 9, Da Nang and Hoi An, Vietnam. Central Vietnam's coast is one of Asia's most underrated stretches of real estate. Da Nang is a modern, fast-developing city with a long sandy beach and improving infrastructure. Hoi An, 30 kilometers south, is a UNESCO-listed ancient town of lantern-lit streets, tailors, and riverside restaurants that remains walkable and genuinely charming. Both benefit from a lower cost of living than almost anywhere else on this list. Monthly all-in costs run $700 to $1,200. Rent for a one-bedroom sits at $400 to $700. Entry-level property starts around $80,000. The lifestyle is hard to beat at this price point: fresh Vietnamese food, a fast-improving road network, a warm coastal climate, and a well-established community of long-term Western residents. That said, Vietnam has no formal retirement visa. Long-term residents must work with tourist visas, border runs, or business and investor pathways. It requires creativity, and for some that is simply too uncertain a foundation. Additionally, foreigners cannot own land outright, only 50-year leasehold terms through approved channels. Number 8, Alicante and the Costa Blanca, Spain. The Costa Blanca stretches along Spain's southeastern Mediterranean coast, with Alicante as its urban anchor. It is one of the cheapest Mediterranean coastal options available to EU and non-EU residents alike, with more than 320 sunny days per year and a large, well-established British and Northern European expat base that has been here for decades. Infrastructure is solid, the food is genuinely excellent, and the proximity to the rest of Europe makes it practical as a base. Monthly costs run from $1,300 to $1,900 all in. A one-bedroom in the center rents for $700 to $1,100, and entry-level property is priced between $110,000 and $220,000. Non-EU retirees can apply for Spain's non-lucrative visa, which requires proof of sufficient passive income and does not permit local employment. The flip side is that parts of the Costa Blanca, particularly around Benidorm and some coastal towns, have become heavily dominated by British tourism infrastructure. For those seeking genuine Spanish immersion, those pockets can feel like a package holiday that never ends. Summer heat above 35 degrees is also a recurring reality. Number 7, Porto, Portugal. Porto is the second city of Portugal and, by most measures, roughly 25% cheaper than Lisbon across rent, restaurants, and everyday costs. It sits at the mouth of the Douro River, with the Atlantic coast minutes away and a walkable riverfront that regularly features on Best of Europe rankings. The expat community has grown considerably over the past 5 years, and the city retains a grittier, more authentic character than the capital. Monthly costs range from $1,400 to $2,000 all in, with one-bedroom rent at $800 to $1,300 in the center. Entry-level property is priced from $160,000 to $280,000. Portugal's D7 passive income visa is the standard route for non-EU retirees, requiring proof of sufficient regular income and a local bank account. The process is well documented and widely used. Furthermore, Porto offers river access, wine country day trips, and a growing range of English-language services. However, winters are cold and damp in a way that surprises people expecting year-round sunshine. Rental availability has also been tightening noticeably fast as demand from expats and remote workers continues to outpace supply. Number 6. Medellín, Colombia. Medellín sits at 1,500 meters above sea level in the Andes, and that altitude is responsible for the city's most famous asset, a year-round temperature range of roughly 16 to 26 degrees Celsius with no air conditioning required, ever. The city has a modern metro system, cheap world-class private healthcare, and a creative energy driven by decades of reinvention. For those who have not visited recently, it is a meaningfully different city from the one its reputation once described. Monthly costs run $900 to $1,500 all in. A one-bedroom rents for $500 to $900 in the center, and entry-level property ranges from $80,000 to $180,000. Retirees can pursue the M11 migrant pensioner visa requiring around $900 per month in pension income, while remote workers and digital nomads have access to a digital nomad visa with a $684 per month income threshold, one of the lowest bars on this list. On the downside, the tourist zone neighborhood of El Poblado has seen prices surge more than 50% since 2022 as the area absorbed a wave of international arrivals. Income inequality is visible and stark. An altitude adjustment, while manageable, is a real consideration for older arrivals. Number 5. Mississippi, USA. Mississippi is the most affordable state in the United States by most measures, and for Americans planning retirement without leaving the country, it offers a combination of low taxes, low housing costs, and Gulf Coast access that is hard to replicate anywhere else in the lower 48. The southern half of the state stays warm for most of the year, and the Gulf Coast around Biloxi and Gulfport gives coastal access with infrastructure and services that no overseas destination in this price range can match. Monthly costs run roughly $1,500 to $2,300 all in. A one-bedroom rents for $800 to $1,200. Entry-level property is priced from $130,000 to $220,000, and farmland runs $3,000 to $3,800 per acre. Mississippi's tax profile is genuinely compelling, a flat income tax of 4.7% set to fall further, property taxes among the lowest in the nation, and a full Social Security exemption. That said, hurricane exposure along the coast is real and not a minor inconvenience. Healthcare access in rural areas is uneven. The job market is weaker than most states for those seeking a second career alongside retirement. And humid summers in the southern half of the state are genuinely punishing. Number 4. Plovdiv, Bulgaria. Plovdiv is Bulgaria's second city, sitting on the Maritsa River in the country's south, and it is around 25% cheaper than the capital Sofia across almost every category. It was named a European Capital of Culture in 2019, and that designation brought investment, attention, and an art scene that has stuck. The Old Town, built across several rocky hills, is one of the most genuinely beautiful historic districts in the Balkans. Monthly all-in costs sit between $700 and $1,100, making it one of the lowest-cost European destinations on this entire list. A one-bedroom in the center rents for $350 to $600. Entry-level property starts at $50,000 and reaches around $110,000, which is as low as it gets for European urban property. Bulgaria's long-stay D visa is the standard residency route for non-EU nationals. Moreover, Bulgaria is an EU candidate on the path to deeper integration, costs have remained low for years, and savvy property investors have already started buying in the Old Town and nearby areas. On the downside, Plovdiv's international airport is small, and most connections require a transit through Sofia. English is limited outside the city centre, which can make daily life admin considerably more effortful. Number 3. St. Kitts and Nevis. St. Kitts and Nevis is a twin-island federation in the Northern Caribbean, with a combined population of around 55,000 people. It is small, stable, and politically consistent. The islands are volcanic, green, and genuinely beautiful, with beaches on both the Atlantic and Caribbean sides of St. Kitts and a quieter, more rural experience on Nevis. The reason St. Kitts appears on any serious relocation list is its citizenship by investment program, the oldest such program in the world, running since 1984. A $250,000 donation to the National Sustainable Island State Contribution Fund or a $400,000 real estate investment buys a St. Kitts passport. That passport provides visa-free access to more than 150 countries, including the full Schengen zone and the United Kingdom. There is no income tax. The political climate is stable. Monthly living costs run $2,000 to $3,200 all in, with rent for a one-bedroom at $1,200 to $2,000. To be clear, this is not a budget destination. The citizenship by investment route is expensive, and the island's small scale means services and amenities are limited relative to larger destinations. But as a second passport and a legitimate Caribbean base with strong global travel access, the value proposition for the right buyer is straightforward. Number 2. Cuenca, Ecuador. Cuenca sits at 2,500 meters in the southern Andes of Ecuador and has been one of the most consistently recommended expat retirement destinations in the Americas for the better part of 2 decades. The reason is simple: a UNESCO colonial city center, genuinely world-class private healthcare at a fraction of North American prices, a spring-like climate year-round, and the practical advantage of using the US dollar as its national currency. Monthly costs run $900 to $1,500 all in. A one-bedroom in the center rents for $400 to $700. Entry-level property is available from $80,000 to $180,000. Ecuador's pensioner visa requires a pension income of $1,425 per month, calculated at 3 times the national minimum wage, which is a realistic threshold for most Social Security recipients. The combination of dollarization and low costs means budgeting is unusually predictable compared to any destination on this list using a volatile local currency. That said, Ecuador's national security situation deteriorated noticeably between 2023 and 2024. And crime statistics in some urban areas have worsened. Altitude adjustment at 2,500 meters is real and takes weeks for most arrivals. And Spanish is not optional here. Outside expat social circles, daily life without it becomes genuinely difficult. Number 1. Oklahoma. Oklahoma might not be the first name that comes to mind when compiling a best destinations list, but it holds up under scrutiny in a way that most international locations on this list simply do not for American retirees. The 2 major metros, Tulsa and Oklahoma City, have been growing steadily, with improved dining, healthcare, arts infrastructure, and housing stock at prices that feel like a different era compared to coastal U.S. markets. Monthly costs run $1,700 to $2,500 all in. A one-bedroom rents for $900 to $1,300 in the center, and entry-level property ranges from $170,000 to $260,000. Farmland is among the cheapest in the country at $1,800 to $2,400 per acre, which is relevant for anyone eyeing land investment alongside retirement. The tax profile is genuinely strong, a top income tax rate of 4.75%, full Social Security exemption, a senior property tax freeze, and meaningful homestead exemptions. There is no estate tax. The state also offers one of the most complete healthcare systems in the region for those with Medicare or private insurance, a factor that tips the balance decisively for domestic retirees who would face real uncertainty in any overseas destination. For Americans who want the cost advantages of relocation without the paperwork, the language barrier, the visa uncertainty, or the healthcare risk, Oklahoma delivers something this list's international entries cannot. Low cost, genuine infrastructure, strong tax protection, and a dollar-denominated, legally familiar environment. On the downside, Oklahoma sits squarely in Tornado Alley. Summer heat is harsh and prolonged. The economy is tied closely to oil, which creates volatility in local employment and housing markets. And for those drawn to mountains, coastlines, or cultural density, the landscape is flat and the scenery is limited. And there you have it. 12 of the best islands, coastal cities, and affordable destinations for steady living or retirement in 2026. The list ranges from $700 a month Plovdiv and Cuenca all the way to the Caribbean passport route of St. Kitts, with plenty of practical middle ground options in between. Every destination here has been used successfully by real expats and retirees, and every one of them comes with trade-offs worth taking seriously before committing. If you found this useful, consider subscribing. We cover destinations like this every week. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.